by Archbishop Denis Hurley for today's centre, built as his legacy. The journey of the Denis Hurley Centre is almost symbolic of the Catholic Church, still very much rooted in its traditions, yet renewed with a warm embrace for all God's children.
I remember Paddy Carney coming to me and saying, "Mary, we need your help." And my role was to basically take this entire centre and his legacy out to the media, which we did, and which we made sure that the media itself understood the role of the Denis Hurley Centre today. The Denis Hurley Centre is seen to be a unifier, much like what he did as a person, as an individual.
With regards to his legacy, in the Hurley family, I think education was well inculcated by his parents, by my grandparents. And also another indication of Uncle Denis's passion for education was the fact that he founded the Kwatinkwa School for the Deaf. I'm very delighted to see that education remains a common thread and is one of the tenets of the Denis Hurley Centre.
I go there, I see these people. I say I was exactly like them when I came there. There was total darkness. To me, it was like my future is destroyed. But the light through Hurley had to shine again. That space, to me, it became a space where people from different faiths, centers, was a living empirical evidence that people of different cultures and faiths can live together peacefully.
I was once at a retreat, and we're told the story about how important it is that everyone does a little thing to make the community a better one. The story was about Mrs. Little. She was a good Catholic, so she had about 11 children. And in spite of the fact that most of the children were boys, her house was always spick and span. And when visitors came along, they'd always ask her, "Mrs. Little, how do you possibly achieve this distinction of having such a wonderfully tidy house?" "Oh," she said, "it's very simple. Every little helps." And I think that's the case with the Denis Hurley Centre. It's every little has helped.
It just amazed me that Hurley was such a force in designing urban spaces. We are working to make that space a precinct, a holy precinct, recognized by UNESCO, where people can be judged in terms of the inner human dignity, irrespective of their conditions.
Our nearest neighbor is the mosque, the Juma Mosque, and these two buildings have been here for over 100 years, with no quarrel ever happening between the two faiths. And I mean, we're separated by about 5 meters of road, so we've been very close to each other. And Archbishop Hurley, when he was here, used to go and pray in the mosque, especially after 9/11, when he felt that there was going to be a lot of tension between Muslims and Christians. He would just go quietly there early in the morning and sit in a corner and pray while people were chanting from the Quran. The idea of bringing the faiths together. So we've got the mosque there, we've got the Gandhi Library across the road, we've got the Victoria Street Market, we've got the Surat Hindu Association building, and now the new Gandhi Memorial being built. So this is a uniquely interfaith neighborhood. And that was another element of the idea of the Denis Hurley Center. Some of the first money coming in came from the mosque, came from the Muslim community.
He was able to give himself to a lot of people. And in my association and connection with the Denis Hurley Center, I'm always amazed and humbled about how many people were touched personally by Uncle Denis.
When people came to him and said, "Baba, we haven't got any jobs," he said, "Come with me." And he showed them the mall. He said, "You can put your stalls there and you can sell fruit and vegetables there." So they're there because of him. You know, it's untidy, it doesn't look terribly nice next to a cathedral, but for him, the value of life and survival would be more important than neatness and respectability. So this was a way in which he could create some jobs, some way of helping people.
Serving as a beacon of hope to the poor, lighting the lamp of education for the disadvantaged, and basking in the glory of interfaith unity, it is here that the light of the Archbishop continues to burn brightly. Just days before his death, in a conversation with Father Wilhelm Steckling, Archbishop Hurley said, "You know, more and more I realize that love is the only thing that matters. Love makes the difference." Paul said that out of faith, hope, and love, love is the most important. Sometimes we want to turn it around, saying that faith comes first. We should return to the original message. Give love the place of honor. Love is the distinguishing mark of the Christian.
Values that you sensed resonated in Hurley was a deep sense of purpose. He ignited the sense of purpose, the deep respect for human dignity, irrespective of anything, dignity as a God in people, and courage not to be intimidated or to be absorbed in counter-reactionary forces.
The people gathered here and the people of the city, we present this to you in deep and immense gratitude for all that you have done for our great and wonderful land.
Alan Paton once wrote, "Denis Hurley was not born in a lighthouse, as some people imagine. His father was the keeper of the lighthouse." The lighthouse has become a symbol of light and hope. Denis Hurley has been doing this work of warning and guiding for the greater part of his life, and he has done it with great faithfulness.
He certainly gave so much, and who continues in his memory to make sure that our country is a better place.
I was the family member who was very privileged to be with him within an hour or two of him losing his beloved sister Eileen. And we sat together at her bedside and prayed, and his gentle kindness to me in my own grief, and then his profound faith at that moment of his own intense grief, to me remains an inspiring experience of love, of faith, of spirituality.
Interestingly, he came here again to where he had started in 1940. You know, he could have chosen any parish. He could have chosen a much smaller job, chose to come here, which is probably the hardest job in the diocese. You see the surroundings, the problems that are here. You know, he was surrounded by a sea of poverty here, and that's where he wanted to be. And he stayed here for nearly 10 years, till he was 86 or so, yeah. So a remarkable thing, he was, for the first time in his whole life, he was a parish priest. He had never been a parish priest. You do all that before you become a bishop. He did it afterwards. And he wanted to make this parish, a parish that was very interested in social outreach.
He's one of the people that made us believe that being a Christian and serving the people means being truthful and being fearless right through.
He often bespeaks a man who was solidly rooted in his spirituality, didn't ever waver from that, but was able then to express it in a way that made an impact on the world. And that for me is perhaps the best example. It's a Christ-like example, and maybe that's the best way, the incarnate Christ in different places. And that for me was Archbishop Denis Hurley in many ways.
God gave each one of us a very, very precious gift, the gift of choice. We can choose what we want to do, who we want to be, how we want to do it. We can choose good or evil. We can choose right or wrong. We can see different ways to be good and evil. We can see different ways to do right and wrong. But we are told by our sages the one thing we should always choose. And this comes from the very first books in the Torah. Choose life. Choose life. Because life is about living in the best possible way, giving in the best possible way, and making a difference and making a better world. And that's what the Arch did.